Story 1. I am unsure of the details, but I am certain that human foolishness, greed, and the desire for power will be involved. Story 2. Anything short of a natural disaster that makes the entire world inhospitable will likely not prevent humans from continuing to exist somewhere on Earth. If we can get off-world before that happens, it might still not make a difference. Story 3. My guess is something nobody expects. Nuclear war or pandemics could kill 99% of human life, but we would survive as a species and be back on track in a couple of centuries. Even if 99.99% of the people die, we will probably bounce back. Story 4. Humans, as we know them today, are a product of time and evolution. I believe that even an event such as a massive asteroid impact or nuclear wars would still leave some of us alive to ensure the survival of the human race. We are incredibly hard to eradicate and highly adaptable. Story 5. Extinction? Some unavoidable cosmological event like a gamma-ray burst, extreme solar flares, or an asteroid that annihilates all complex life on Earth. Or maybe an artificial intelligence singularity in a few centuries systematically eliminating our species. What's more likely is societal collapse and a massive population reset following an apocalyptic germ that spreads and kills 2/3 of us, similar to the Black Plague. Alternatively, a dramatic ecological collapse could threaten the food supply of most people, leading to a similar societal and industrial reset. Personally, I don't think a nuclear apocalypse is very likely, at least not intentionally caused by humans. But if it did occur, all but a few million people could perish in the fallout. Overall, human beings have been brought to the brink of extinction before. We are tough and extremely adaptable. Our technologically advanced society could be destroyed far more easily than our species could become extinct. Story 6. Based on how the United States handled COVID-19 and our current leadership dismantling government, I'm going to go with pandemic. I think the small number of people who somehow survive won't be resourceful or cooperative enough to make it long-term and will starve. They will just loot until it's all gone and won't be able to produce enough food for long-term survival. Story 7. I'm guessing we will lose the ability to reproduce. Sperm count in men has been steadily declining for decades, and it has mostly been attributed to plastics. Given that we have found microplastics in the remotest parts of Earth and humans' absolute stubbornness to make necessary changes, I cannot imagine we will be getting rid of plastics anytime soon. Story 8. Either some sort of asteroid hits, creating a tsunami that wipes everything out, or it creates dust clouds that prevent the sun from reaching the surface, resulting in an ice age. This is pretty much what has happened to this planet many times, or there could be a geomagnetic reversal, of course. Story 9. There are 3 options. 1. We end our own existence through nuclear warfare, climate change, or similar means. We face an unforeseen event that leads to our extinction, such as a meteor impact, alien invasion, or the sun exploding. The eventual heat death of the universe. I believe that if we reach the point where we can colonize other galaxies, we will not go extinct. However, the heat death of the universe is inevitable, and no one can survive that. Story 10. Definitely by our own making. Global warming may be a factor. What is frustrating is that while younger adults want to take action, the leaders of countries are often older and act without regard for the consequences that the younger generation will face. For example, the President of the United States may prioritize short-term financial gain without considering the suffering it may cause for future generations. If not global warming, I worry that we may eventually harm each other in one way or another. Story 11. We are well on our way to damaging the planet. It is difficult to live when everything is toxic. Story 12. It's inevitable one day. Everything dies, even the universe. So to me, it's not a question of if, it's when. Story 13. It won't be nuclear warfare or climate catastrophe. The billionaires will absorb all the wealth and power, and ordinary people will no longer be able to justify having children. Story 14. Some kind of malfunction or virus in the microchips the government will impose on everyone in the next couple of hundred years. Story 15. Either a nuclear war or a billionaire creates artificial intelligence to run the government, which accidentally leaks sensitive data to other countries, leading to World War III. Story 16. Climate change and war are cascading events stemming from a serious but not global disaster. Story 17, don't think about it. Just wait a few more years and we will see. To be honest, I really hope there will be zombies. Story 18. In Bill Bryson's book titled A Short History of Nearly Everything, he explains through the research of scientists that the history of planet Earth involves the creation of some form of life, which is eventually wiped out and replaced by a more advanced form. Story 19. It is very likely that we are at the beginning of something similar to the Bronze Age collapse in the near future. I am referring to the next 100 years. Extinction is definitely not ruled out, but it may take time. Story 20. I honestly think that aside from a planet-wide extinction event, we won't disappear completely. Our civilizations and dominance will definitely fade eventually, but as a whole, we are such unique and resourceful creatures that some version of us will be around for a long time. Story 21. The short answer is yes. But the longer answer is, what does that mean? We could annihilate ourselves, the universe could do that, or we could evolve to the extent that what we become is no longer scientifically human. Story 22. A major water treatment center will break down. Some people will have less water or contaminated water. This will put more pressure on other treatment centers. If those go down as well, limited access to clean water will quickly result in loss of life. I believe this issue will be related to food or water, not war. Story 23. Extinction is too extreme. Many vulnerable animals have been on Earth for millions of years. Humans may have been on Earth for a long time, but once industry and technology become damaged, civilization and society will quickly decline. Humans without machines will be like other animals. Story 24. We will lose the ability to reproduce. Birth rates are already declining on a global scale. The end has begun. Story 25. Human intelligence has evolved to the point of mostly eradicating threats to our survival. Even for challenges we haven't cured, like the weather, we have measures such as early warnings, shelters, and improved disaster relief technologies. However, there remain two major apocalyptic threats that we cannot address. One is astronomical impacts, which could potentially be mitigated with nuclear solutions. The other significant and unresolved threat is disease epidemics. While our health technology has advanced, our globalized society is almost tailor-made for the rapid spread of viruses, and our societies, national defenses, and infrastructures are not adequately prepared for widespread epidemics. The recent COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated this clearly, and we were fortunate that it was not more severe. If an outbreak similar to the Black Death were to occur again, especially with a new pathogen, it could potentially devastate our civilizations permanently. Even if a small number of humans survived, there is insufficient accessible coal in the world to allow industrial civilization to restart. Story 26. There are a few ways that come to mind. 1. A pandemic that is sufficiently lethal can conceivably eliminate most of humanity in just a few weeks. A cosmological event, such as a burst of radiation from a nearby supernova or activity from our own sun. Destruction of habitat from climate change due to excessive greenhouse gas levels or possibly from volcanic activity. Story 27. The same way previous human ancestors did. A new subspecies, either genetically or technologically modified. Story 28. I remember seeing an episode of Love, Death, and Robots called Swarm. The doctor looked defiantly upon the swarm and said, "If you intend to destroy us," the swarm interrupted him, stating, "Most likely, you'll destroy yourselves. Intelligence is not a winning survival trait." That hit me. Story 29. Probably a gradual decline rather than a dramatic end. I imagine that over time, climate change may render agriculture unfeasible, causing the remaining scattered communities to be diminished one by one due to unfortunate events such as adverse weather or disease. This is thought to have nearly occurred multiple times before civilization, so I don't see why it couldn't happen again. Story 30. We will simply stop reproducing once everyone has unlimited access to sophisticated virtual realities. Artificial intelligence will lead humanity to extinction. Story 31. I genuinely believe it is unlikely. If it happens, it could be due to failing to reach other planets, Earth being impacted by another rock, or the sun burning out. I believe humankind will destroy itself repeatedly between now and then, but not to the point of extinction. Story 32. Short of a world-ending asteroid, I don't think it's possible. Humans will likely continue to exist in some corner of the globe through almost any apocalypse. The species has recovered in the past from major population reductions down to as low as 10,000 individuals, and that was without modern knowledge and technology. I believe we have passed the great filter. That being said, I think it is incredibly likely that society will completely collapse at some point in the next millennium and will need to start anew. Story 33. If anyone has seen Don't Look Up, I think that is a pretty accurate depiction of what is going to happen to us. You can replace the meteor with anything, to be honest. Story 34. I see many people suggesting that a single catastrophic event, such as nuclear war, could end humanity. I do not believe we will be so fortunate. The fall of humanity will likely be a long, slow, painful decline, most likely due to climate change, and we are only at the beginning of this process. Story 35. The majority of humans transcend beyond being biological and do not fit into a specific species category. The last remaining true humans slowly transcend or die due to fatal accidents, as biological immortality does not prevent such occurrences. Story 36. Nuclear war or asteroid. I do not think we will be around to see the sun transform into a giant red star that consumes Mercury, Venus, and likely us. Story 37. A virus. COVID-19 felt like just the beginning. What else is out there? We may be wiped out by things we cannot see. Story 38. Human civilizations rise and fall throughout history due to complacency and poor decision-making, but the next one will be on a global scale. Story 39. Evolution. We will gradually become something else, possibly several species. Drawing the exact line of when that happens will be the challenging part. Story 40. Humanity has always been a species driven by self-destruction and greed. Throughout its long existence, humans have pursued more of everything with complete disregard for the sacrifices necessary to achieve this. This often led to a mindset of mutual destruction under the belief that if one cannot have it, then no one should. From the primordial origins of our existence to the dire consequences of eternal damnation, we have been doomed from the start. We come from dust and will return as ashes. Humanity will inevitably orchestrate its own extinction, stemming from the very nature of our being. We are our own worst enemy. Story 41. A wealthy and powerful individual built out of fear is going to be upset because another wealthy and powerful individual, also built out of fear, called him a fool. Story 42. We will put explosives in volcanoes to produce man-made rain and accidentally start a new ice age. Let me know if you get the reference. Story 43. The ice caps will melt and spread disease. Our freshwater supplies will dwindle. There may be bioengineered pandemics attempting to address the diseases caused by the melting ice caps. Most animal species will go extinct. Human populations will overcrowd in healthier environments, leading to small conflicts and potentially nuclear wars. Ultimately, all ecosystems will collapse, leading to catastrophic consequences. Story 44. I would say some type of bacteria that is immune or resistant to current antibiotics could be the catalyst for the downfall of humanity. Overpopulation to the point where ecosystems cannot sustain the population is also a concern. Story 45. I am confident that human civilization will endure well beyond the foreseeable future. Human extinction is unlikely to occur as a single catastrophic event. Instead, it is more probable that we will evolve, either biologically, technologically, or both, into something beyond the current definition of modern humans. Advancements in artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and cybernetic augmentation may lead to a gradual transition in the understanding of what it means to be human. Our descendants will likely be different from what we are, but they will still identify as human. Story 46. We are in an interglacial period right now, so the next glacial period is likely. Then again, I am not sure how climate change will affect that. Story 47. COVID taught us that if there is a new virus with a high transmission rate, but instead of a 2% mortality rate has 98% like Ebola, it could bring humans to extinction. It is debatable that such lethal viruses will kill the hosts before they transmit to others. However, let's consider a scenario where a virus kills you in a few days without any symptoms, and then you die. Story 48. I don't think we will ever go extinct. As far as we know, we are the most intelligent life form in the universe, and we have evolved to sustain almost anything Earth can throw at us. Additionally, we possess technology that can keep us alive underground for an extended period. I believe even a surface-wiped comet strike would not lead to our extinction. Story 49. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Humanity is growing beyond the means of sustainability. In the past, we could get by because no single person or group had the power to cause apocalyptic destruction, nor could their incompetence leave Earth completely barren. Yet now, we face those who could burn the whole world to the ground. We have groups that will take until nothing is left. There is nothing that can stop them. You take one group down and another will replace it. The capability will always exist. And so, things will eventually fall apart. Story 50. I doubt humanity will become extinct before the planet is destroyed. However, if it does happen, it will likely be self-inflicted. Story 51. In several million years, our current biology will no longer exist as we spread out across the galaxy and adopt advancements such as cybernetic enhancements. Each planet's unique circumstances and wildlife will mutate us into entirely different races, similar to how living in different parts of the world affected our ancestors. However, this evolution will transcend race, and humanity will assume entirely new forms, resembling a natural extinction driven by evolution. Story 52. Climate change is a critical issue. Over the next 200 years, the Earth will gradually become uninhabitable. As this occurs, people will migrate north and south until there is nowhere left to go, leading to societal tension and potential collapse. At the same time, natural disasters will become more frequent and severe, resulting in increased fatalities. Severe weather events such as tornadoes, hurricanes, and typhoons will intensify. The rising temperatures each year will adversely affect vulnerable populations, particularly the elderly and young children. Food production will become increasingly difficult, which could lead to conflicts and riots, resulting in further loss of life. Wildlife will face significant challenges alongside humanity. While these changes are inevitable, there is a high likelihood that a deadly virus could impact us before these environmental shifts fully take effect. The COVID-19 pandemic was a precursor, revealing how quickly and widely a virus can spread. Currently, the only perceived solution is drastic population control. However, it is clear that society is not prepared to accept such measures. Enjoy your lives, as the next generation may not have the same opportunities. Story 53. The same factor that led to the extinction of other hominids may also apply to a more advanced hominid. If cultural attitudes toward bioengineering shift, it is possible that humans could engineer themselves into a new species. Story 54. We are focused on short-term economic gains and are not considering our impact on the planet. We are consuming nearly every natural resource available. Either we will wipe ourselves out through disease or war, or an external force will come along and wipe us out, as we are ill-prepared to counter threats, whether from a meteor or other cosmic disasters. If an alien species appears, we can only hope they see us as a science experiment. Story 55. Perpetual warfare in the futile search for a viable Wi-Fi signal after a massive solar storm destroys power grids worldwide. Story 56. Polarity shift on Earth has wiped out other advanced civilizations. We are due for another event. If we cannot become a multiplanetary species, this could happen and kill everyone within a week, with many dead in an instant. Alternatively, there could be a mass virus outbreak similar to the COVID-19 situation. I don't believe it will end with bombs. Story 57. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Our greed and ignorance will lead to our destruction. Over time, humankind will become weaker in their constitution and spirit and will yield to the whims of vain abundance. mistaking this for success when it is quite the opposite. Story 58. Infertility is a common issue, and many people face challenges in reproduction. Alternatively, advancements in artificial intelligence could lead humanity toward undesirable outcomes. Story 59. We will become the aliens we have always imagined and be the first to travel to new worlds. It is us. Story 60. It will be a collaboration between infectious diseases and climate change. A warmer climate increases the chances of tick and mosquito-borne illnesses. Rising oceans result in less livable land and push humans and wild animals closer together, which increases the risk of infectious diseases emerging and spreading. Story 61. I don't think we'll ever go extinct, but we will cease to be human in our current form. We will genetically engineer ourselves and integrate with technology to the point of becoming something different. Story 62. There are many conceptual progress traps in our near future that we need to work hard and intentionally to avoid. Story 63. Earth becomes uninhabitable, and the last colonies slowly perish on another planet. The final few probably have never been to Earth and only know stories and legends. Story 64. Putin is going to finally become truly ignorant, and we will all understand what mutually assured destruction means in terms of nuclear weapons. Story 65. Nuclear war will lead to significant consequences. If we collapse the government, many people may struggle to cope, resulting in a massive civil war scenario with no assistance for those in need. It could resemble a purge, leaving only individuals with severe psychological issues who may turn on each other due to petty power struggles or succumb to loneliness. Story 66. Eventually, technology will advance to the point where virtual intimacy will be indistinguishable from, and possibly even superior to, real intimacy, leading people to largely forgo physical relationships. Story 67. I don't think we will. We'll bomb ourselves back to the Stone Age, or some kind of natural disaster will send us back to the Stone Age at some point. But we'll relearn and rebuild, and eventually progress to the technological level we are at now. Then we'll bomb ourselves back to the Stone Age. Story 68. We will face a solvable problem. We will receive ample warning that it is coming, and the political right will do everything in their power to prevent humanity from avoiding catastrophe. Story 69. Just for fun, I watched a documentary and said to my friend, what if our next evolutionary stage is robots? They have technically evolved through modern humans and are a part of us. Story 70. Nanobot warfare technology will advance to the point where nanobot swarms target enemy populations. Eventually, one may be released that mistakenly targets everyone, or they could be reprogrammed by a malicious actor to harm all individuals. No place will be safe as these nanobots will be solar-powered and capable of traveling across all seas and continents. Story 71. The environment is becoming unbearable. While it may not be the reason the last human dies, it will certainly contribute to the decrease in our population. This situation will also lead to other problems related to the scarcity of food, fuel, and other goods that our society depends on. Story 72. We have a savior complex where we overdo what is required to fix something, which causes an extreme failure in another direction. This is what we do. Not on an extinction-level event, but as an example, we became so involved with per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances contamination that the fix is worse than the initial problem. By that, I mean we have been pushed to change the type of firefighting foam we use because of these substances. We transitioned from aqueous film-forming foam to soluble film-forming foam. Not only does the soluble film-forming foam still contain these substances, but we were notified last week that it is an instant aquatic life killer, more poisonous to humans, and causes severe eye damage. To top it all off, it does not work nearly as well as aqueous film-forming foam. There is a reason the Navy said thanks, but no thanks to switching. We are currently refusing to put the new soluble film-forming foam in our fire truck and are sticking with aqueous film-forming foam. Story 73. Only the wealthy will survive some kind of global issue. Then there will be no one left to protect the wealthy, and they will struggle to survive. Story 74. Honestly, I am not sure. I just know that when it happens, I want it to be something so unavoidable that everyone is wiped out, with no exceptions and no one can escape it. Story 75. I believe that as we grow more connected to technology, we become increasingly disillusioned with reality and the world as it is. We are already overlooking many issues because we have screens in front of us constantly. Avoiding our phones has become nearly impossible, as they are essential to our lives and serve as our primary connection to family and loved ones. It will only worsen unless we are conscious enough to initiate change. We are facing challenging times, and it feels daunting to combat the harmful policies and laws being enacted globally. While we could take action, we are often too distracted, allowing governments to proceed unchecked. That is my perspective, at least. I find myself very addicted to social media and wish to break this unhealthy habit. Furthermore, it's not just that we are ignoring these issues. We have been conditioned to accept them. We are constantly exposed to the worst events occurring around the world, and as a society, we have become numb to them. Story 76. According to the article I just read, sneaking in episodes of our shows without her knowing. Story 77. Elon Musk will terminate a postal worker whose wife was also dismissed from the military. She is involved in a project aimed at ending the world, and they have no children. Story 78. A full 4 years of the orange baby Führer Trump and civilization should start saying goodbye. Story 79. Some kind of unusual environmental change will lead to a chain reaction that could wipe us out. For example, a predicted asteroid might hit and compromise the safety features of a nuclear weapon in a specific country, resulting in widespread chaos. Story 80. I don't care, but the sooner, the better for all the good we have done for our fellow humans, all living creatures, and the Earth in general. Humans are not contributing positively to this planet. Story 81. Global cataclysm. It is the only event that completely wiped out ancient civilizations. Humans will do a fantastic job of almost wiping each other out, but I do not believe we can do it entirely. Story 82. We are facing a potential disaster similar to the Chernobyl incident, which could have far worse consequences. Portions of the Earth may need to be completely evacuated, resulting in numerous humanitarian issues. Eventually, global commerce will be significantly impacted, leading to maintenance problems at other nuclear reactors and potentially causing further disasters. This cycle may continue, pushing the biosphere to levels of radiation that exceed what is sustainable for life. Story 83. Climate change will make water increasingly difficult to provide. Animals and plants will face extinction. People may suffer from starvation or turn to unhealthy food sources. Diseases will continue to emerge. COVID-19 was linked to bats. Other diseases like bird flu and mad cow disease pose risks as well. Additionally, antibiotic-resistant bacteria are already present, which can cause serious health issues. War may become a constant reality as resources dwindle, driven by the relentless greed of the wealthy. Story 84. Overpopulation and pandemics will reduce us. But honestly, I think nature and evolution will wipe us out in time. God forbid if we don't manage to colonize other planets first. I hope we won't. We are a highly destructive species. Story 85. People ignoring climate change is the long-term option. A tyrannical leader with the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old starting a nuclear war is more likely to happen sooner. Fortunately, there are no current world superpower leaders that fit that description. Story 86. I don't know enough. I'll switch to social media to find some entertainment and assistance. Story 87. We rose to the top of the chain because of our intelligence. We will eliminate ourselves due to our foolishness. Story 88. Inability to reproduce. Many people often think of nuclear war or global warming as potential threats, but the most immediate concern may be our declining reproductive health. Average sperm count has dropped by 57% since the 1980s, from approximately 90 million per milliliter to less than 45 million per milliliter. And it continues to decline with no clear end in sight. A sperm count below 15 million per milliliter is considered infertile, and having such a low count complicates even in vitro fertilization. This is not the only change. Anogenital distance, which measures the space from the anus to the genitals, has historically been about twice as long in men compared to women. However, this distance has been shrinking and is now on average just 1.5 times greater in men. Something is affecting embryos in the womb, significantly impacting male physiology. We have never consumed as many chemicals and plastic-wrapped products in human history as we do today, and this is having substantial effects on us and future generations. Everyday products such as shampoo, body wash, toothpaste, deodorant, mouthwash, dish soap, hand soap, sanitizer, and laundry detergent introduce chemicals into our bodies. More than 50% of food is packaged in plastic. Recently, scientists successfully used stem cells from a female rat's egg to create sperm, which was then used to impregnate another female rat, resulting in a female-only pregnancy. Is there a future where males become redundant for reproduction? Regardless, this situation poses a significant threat, and I believe our overconsumption of chemicals and plastics will lead to our downfall. Technology will need to compensate if we completely undermine our ability to reproduce naturally. Please note that I read this information years ago, so the statistics may have changed. Story 89. Someone asked deep about something, but it replied, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. The way we are using artificial intelligence is what will lead us to extinction. Story 90. It is in your nature to destroy yourselves. T2 said it correctly. Aside from an astronomical event, we will resolve our issues. Story 91. Despite it all, I remain an optimist about humanity, so I will mention an asteroid strike or a similar catastrophe from space. Story 92. Industrialized nations will stop having children. This will be followed by a generalized societal collapse when African nations fail to fill the void. Nuclear exchanges seal our fate when chaos eclipses reason. Central Asian nations remain on the sidelines until it is too late to prevent a catastrophic disaster. Story 93. Taco Bell wins the restaurant competition, creating the largest environmental disaster in the planet's history. Story 94. The Sun undergoes a supernova in the year 3462, transforming our planet into a Mercury-like atmosphere. It happens so quickly that it is not even felt by us. The solar flares in the 96 years leading up to this event will ravage the Earth, turning it into a desert. Story 95. Unpopular opinion. We may face extinction due to declining birth rates. This trend starts with countries such as South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, China, Spain, and Italy. Humans do not live forever, and when we die without enough people to replace us, our population decreases exponentially. Eventually, if this continues, no one will be left, leading to human extinction. I believe we are more likely to become extinct from low fertility rates long before climate change destroys our habitats. Story 96. Disease will eventually get out of control. Combine that with a density-driven population collapse scenario similar to the one from the National Institute of Mental Health rat studies. Story 97. I believe the only event capable of wiping out humans completely would be a meteor strike powerful enough to ignite the atmosphere, and that will eventually occur. Could take hundreds of millions of years, though. Until then, I think we will continue to evolve. Story 98. God destroys the world by fire, so everyone, including the planet and the universe, will be gone. The Bible indicates that God is holding the atomic cores in place through his will. All he has to do is release them, and the entire universe dissolves at the atomic level. Colossians 1 verse 17. That said, our souls will live on forever. Nobody truly dies. This is God's gift to humanity, making this question somewhat meaningless. Story 99. War will poison our environment. We will continue for a while and then eventually die out, or a meteor could strike us. Story 100. Resource depletion and climate change are significant concerns. A giant meteorite impact is always a possibility as well. While nuclear war is a potential threat, it is highly unlikely. Story 101. America will elect a leader who is compromised by the KGB. He will become a puppet of Russia. When Russia threatens to expose this leader, nuclear weapons will be used, and an unsurvivable nuclear winter will destroy us like the dinosaurs. Story 102. From everything I have experienced in my life, Though not for long on this planet, I have concluded that humans are often incredibly misguided as a whole. Humanity may likely face extinction due to our mismanagement of the numerous problems surrounding us. If not through mismanagement, our failure to take action will ultimately lead to our downfall. Story 103. Just as everything else may go extinct, microplastics will strangle microscopic ecosystems and then plants, leading to a rapid mass extinction event. Story 104. Changes to the Earth that drastically alter our odds of survival will be the final blow. Humanity can survive most apocalypses, even if it means a drastic reduction in population. However, at this point, there needs to be a significant threat that takes us all out. The only way I can see that happening is reminiscent of the dinosaurs. Story 105. This is a very serious topic. As intelligent beings on Earth, humans possess strong survival skills and adaptability, along with the responsibility to protect themselves and the environment. We should focus on how to safeguard the Earth's ecological balance, promote sustainable development, and maintain harmony and stability within society, rather than delving into negative issues. The future of humanity depends on how we address various challenges, including climate change, resource shortages, disease transmission, nuclear threats, and biodiversity loss. Through scientific research, technological innovation, international cooperation, and global governance, we are capable of overcoming these obstacles and building a better future. We should take positive actions and work together to create favorable conditions for human survival and development, rather than speculating on pessimistic outcomes. Story 106. Extinction refers to the very last human dying. I believe that starvation is more likely to be the cause. I find it hard to believe that fresh water will run out before the last person loses the ability to grow food. There will always be a way to filter the air and water into a breathable and drinkable state. Story 107. Human existence is not an accident. Therefore, human extinction can only be caused by an intelligent decision. Only God will decide. Story 108. Probably as a result of a global pandemic, the minority of surviving humans will eventually adapt and evolve to become a new iteration of our species. Story 109. I believe the world will face destruction due to nuclear warfare, likely sooner than we expect, driven by greed. Furthermore, I predict the following. I believe the United States will be the cause. I believe this will occur during the Second American Civil War. I believe this will happen within my lifetime. Story 110. Either it is a Terminator or Battlestar Galactica scenario. Many robots powered by artificial intelligence are suddenly being created, and sooner or later, it is bound to happen. Or it could lead to nuclear war because people in positions of power want to engage in a confrontation, and sooner or later, one of them will take action which would result in chaos. Alternatively, it could be a disease of some sort. There are several diseases that have not yet crossed into humans but could easily wipe us out without proper precautions. Story 111. Some of these conversations have sparked additional thoughts. There will be economic and institutional breakdowns that will destabilize countries, leading to regional collapses. There will be social unrest and infighting among elites over the struggle for control, resulting in political polarization that escalates to civil war. Resource and climate shocks will lead to water shortages, food crises, and extreme weather events that trigger migrations and more conflicts. The supply chain will break down, leading to further shortages and localized collapses. Eventually, it may be enough to eliminate the human race altogether. Story 112. Planet heats up slightly over time, not hot enough to melt rock, but just enough to make life unsustainable and growing anything impossible. People often struggle to comprehend just how fragile life is. We exist in this vast universe and survive because of a thin layer of water and oxygen that protects us from the harmful nuclear radiation from the sun and stars. The slight variations that could eliminate all life on this planet are likely to be so minuscule that it will be shocking. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.